Hello everyone, welcome to another DIY repair video. I'll just start by saying I'm not a certified mechanic. I just do my own repairs in my garage with my own equipment. What we're doing today is this wheel bearing on my 2009 B8 A4. This is the issue we're having. I can take this wheel, suspend it off the ground. Hear that jiggle? Yeah, that thing is toast. So we're going to be putting a new wheel bearing in this. I cheaped out and got one off Rock Auto. It's only 27 bucks. I figured Audi made the bad one in the first place. I don't want to replace it with another one of their expensive ones because it may be a revised, but who knows, you'll probably have the same problem again. However, you will want factory torque to yield bolts because they're one-time use, both for the hub and the axle. Now, when you break this axle bolt loose, you're going to need a 19mm hex bit. This job is very similar to the previous generations. I believe the B7s use a 17mm hex bit. Your B8s, you're going to need a 19. It's kind of tricky to find. I had to go to Harbor Freight to get my set. I'm sure you can just order one offline anywhere, but then you got to wait for it. I didn't want to wait. I'm not really going to bore you guys with all the tools you need because I got a lot of them here and trying to sort through them all is a mess. So I'll just kind of show them to you as I go. I'll try my best to do that. So, yeah, I guess we'll get started. Alright, so while the car was on the ground, I broke my lug bolts loose first. Well, actually I did the axle bolt first and then the lug bolts. So we're going to run this out. Again, using a 19mm hex bit socket. Got that guy off there. It's really helpful having an electric impact for just about anything. I use this thing all the time. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off that caliper as an assembly. We're not, if I can, sometimes you have to take the caliper off separately from the bracket, but we're going to try to do the whole thing as one. It's easier. Alright, so I am really struggling to break the caliper bracket bolts loose. They're on there really freaking tight. So I'm going to take the caliper off by itself and then the bracket. So that takes a 13mm socket to take the bolts out of the caliper. Here's our caliper bolts. Now we're going to need a flathead screwdriver. We're going to pop this clip off of here. Come on. Really wants to fight me for some reason. There, that came off finally. Now we're gonna pry the caliper off. Maybe. It seems how this is taking forever. I'm going to go ahead and pause this and resume when I get it off. Okay, because the caliper was fighting me to come off, I figured out that my problem there is actually this little lip on my rotor that's been worn down. So we gotta grind the spot of that off on both sides, and then I'm going to take that bolt out of the rotor, spin it back here to the caliper where I can slide the caliper off. So I'm going to be using my electric grinder, heavy duty grinding wheel. Don't be stupid. Wear safety glasses if you have to do this type of crap. Alright, here we go. Oh, it might help to have it plugged in. This is a T30 Torx bit. Spin this rotor around. Come on, break loose. Come on. Alright, again, this is taking too long, so I'm going to pause this again. Alright, now that I got enough of that lip ground off my rotor, I can pull the caliper off. Yes, it's kind of hokey, not very professional, I guess, if you want to say, but it's what I do to get it off. As you see, now the caliper comes off. Do not let this caliper hang. We're going to hang it by a bungee cord. Right up there on the control arm. Alright, now we're going to break this bracket loose. I'm using a breaker bar and a 13/16 socket. I believe it's actually a 21 mil, but I don't have one that size. So here we go. I'll be back here in a second. Okay, just finally got the upper bolt for the caliper bracket loose. And as you can see, I had to kind of jerry-rig something together to get that to break loose because I just could not do it by hand. I was using a half-inch drive breaker bar and could not get it loose. So this is what I did. I got a floor jack, a big 4x4 block of wood, and then a small extension that fits within the wheel well. And I just placed it up there like so, and then jacked it up, and it was like effortless. Just broke it loose for me. So if you have trouble with that bolt, you can do that. Anyhow, I'm going to take that bracket off, then the rotor, and then I'm going to start in on getting the hub ready to come out. Alright, now that the bracket and rotor are off, we're going to take off this dust shield. And you're going to need your T30 Torx bit for those as well. And you do not want to try breaking these bolts right here loose. That's what hold the hubs in. Don't try breaking those loose with this dust shield on. I learned that the hard way. Cut the hell out of my hand. So yeah, take the dust shield off first. Also, you're going to want to soak these with penetrating oil before you try breaking them loose. PB Blaster. Absolutely live by this stuff. And I'm also going to spray it down kind of where the hub meets the upright here. Hopefully it'll seep down into that crack and at least assist in getting this thing out, because that thing is really wedged in there. And you'll see how much grime gets up in there and locks it in place after the years. Alright, one little tricky thing was trying to get this ABS sensor off of here. Excuse me, I just lost my words there. Yeah, I've tried messing around with that thing up there at the top, trying to get it off, didn't work. So, you come in underneath with a flathead screwdriver, and there you go. I just released it. That easy. Alright, now we're going to take that out. It takes a 5mm hex bit socket. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch ratchet. Bolt comes loose really easy, but the sensor is probably stuck in there. So what I found helpful is using the same tool we're going to use to get the hub out, is this little chisel. I ground a very sharp edge on there so it'll get in between things really easy. Just be very careful and tap it in to separate it from the knuckle or upright. It is plastic, so you don't want to break that. Okay, you can see I got that broke loose just there. Just a few little light taps and it came loose. So now we can turn it back and forth and pull out your sensor. Okay. Something else I'm going to do that's kind of unorthodox to kind of help get this thing out of here is I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and a hammer, and I'm going to go around the edge of this hub and kind of knock out all the grime that's along that seam between the upright and the hub. And then I'm going to give the hub itself a few taps with the hammer to kind of loosen up all the crap that's inside of it. And that'll help things along getting it out by the time we start getting the bolts broke loose and begin pulling it out of the upright. And also we're going to spray some more penetrating oil down in there, right along that seam. And just to really demonstrate how bad this wheel bearing was, this car has 107,000 miles on it. That's not very much to most people. You'll understand that right there, that is horrible. This thing was making all kinds of noise. And that's the factory wheel bearing. With only 107,000. Now my B5 next to me has 267,000 miles and still has the original wheel bearings in it. And they look nothing like this. I have no issues with this car. So, just goes to show you. Okay, now I'm going to begin loosening up the hub bolts. Here's the two bottom ones, and here's the top one. It's really hard to see. See if I can get this to focus here. There we go. Well, you want to be damn sure that you have that 12-point bit in here fully seated before you start cranking on this, because it takes a lot of leverage to get those loose. And if that thing slips and rounds off, it's going to be a nightmare trying to get that bolt out. So just pay close attention to that when you do this. Save yourself some trouble. I'm going to go ahead and break one of these loose for you guys so you can kind of see how much force it takes. Like I said, keep that 12-point socket bit centered in there and fully seated. That way you don't have rounding off issues, which are a real pain in the ass. There, that one didn't put up too much of a fight. Once you get it loose, you can go ahead and put a smaller wrench in there. Okay, now working on the bottom front bolt here. This one was a real bear. I had to kind of get creative to get it loose. I just stuck a piece of wood down on top of the control arm. That way the head of the ratchet had something to ride on and kept it centered while I put both hands on this extra long ratchet. This is a 3/8 ratchet. I couldn't really get a 1/2-inch ratchet in there, so I had to use a 3/8. And ideally you don't even want to use a ratchet to break a bolt loose, but I'm kind of limited here, so that's what I did. But now they're all loose, so I'm going to get this last bolt out, and then I'm going to start pounding out the hub. Now we get to play with fire. So if you have a propane torch, go ahead and break this sucker out. We're going to heat up that upright to kind of convince this hub out of here. Going around the upright, not trying to hit the hub. We don't want to heat up the hub, we just want to heat up the upright. Hopefully expand that bore a little bit and kind of help us get that thing out of there a little easier. Oh, that goes out. I've been doing it a while, so I can probably shut that off now. Just for safe measure, I'm going to spray a little bit more of this in there. Now that we kind of opened up that gap a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to grab the sharp point chisel and a big ass hammer. I'm going to put this thing right down in that gap and just start pounding on it. You want to do this kind of evenly around the hub. You don't want to focus on one area for too long. I would be using the air hammer, but it's late at night where I'm at. I don't want to wake up the neighbors, so this is loud enough. Yeah, basically you get the idea here.